Hello, thank you for joining me for episode 1 of my Heroscape painting tutorials. Today, we will be painting Raelin the Kiri Warrior from the Age of Annihilation starter set. For this figure, we'll be replicating the card art with true metallics for the armor, strong shadows, and a soft underglow as if lit by fire or lava. If you want to do a different lighting scheme, you can simply change the direction of your highlights toward the desired light source and the shadows on the opposite sides. You will need the following colors. I've included the brands and precise colors I used, but also hex codes so you can adapt how you wish. I recommend Encycloppedia for finding paint color matches in whatever brand you prefer. We will start by priming the figure with a flat black. This will give us a stronger metallic, as well as deeper shadows. While the Heroscape miniatures do have pre-shading, I found even after cleaning, the paint tends to not lay down properly without a prime. The first base coat we're applying is a gunmetal over all the armor, both on the Manticore and Raelin. If you have an airbrush, I would highly recommend using it to save time. There's a lot of surface area to cover, and a smoother metallic finish is more difficult to achieve with brushes. Then, we'll apply a thin black wash to darken the recesses of the armor. For our soft lava lighting to look right, the upper shadows will need to be pushed as far as we can go. To push the contrast even further, let's take a bright silver and highlight the high parts of the metals. Focus especially on the sharp points, edges, and areas in the direction of the light source. Next, give a light dry brush over everything, brushing, again, from the direction of our future light source. Now we can mix some red into the silver at about an even ratio, and paint on the colored areas of Raelin's armor. This includes the crest and wings of the helmet, her belt, the raiment under her armor, both front and back, and 3 small stripes on her arms. With the metallics done, we can start on Raelin's face and fingers with a base coat of reddish flesh tone. Over the base, we'll apply thinned down highlights in a paler, more yellow skin tone. Finally, we have the extreme highlights, with the light tone mixed with a bit of white at the tips of her features. While the white is out, let's base coat her amulet as well as her hair and the eye slits in her helmet. Then we can go ahead and give the Manticore his dental work and Manticure. I'd also recommend basing Raelin's wings white to get a vibrant red more easily later. Now the edges of the amulet get painted pure green, leaving a dot of white in the bright center before heavily thinning the paint to apply around it to give a faint glowing effect. You then might need to go back with your metallics to touch up the small areas around Raelin's face. Now onto the wings with a pure red. It took me a few coats to get a proper vibrancy over the black, which is why I recommend starting them with white. The last couple coats should be focused on the tips and bottoms of the wings to give a shadow gradient across them. If we want this more pronounced, we can mix some darker and lighter shades to push the lighting even more. Raelin's hair is a simple process. We'll paint yellow over the white, then give it a thin, light brown wash to get a more natural blonde hue. With the rider done, we can move on to the mount, coating it in a pure orange. The base color should be as saturated and vibrant as we can get to prevent the highlights and shadows from washing it out too badly later. The trickiest areas are along the edges of the armor, the underside of the tail, and the claws. Don't worry about touching up any overpaints or slips yet, we still have a lot of orange to paint. As mentioned before, we want extreme shadows to make a believable lava glow, so we'll darken our orange with a bit of blue. Alternatively, you can use any cool brown, as that's what we've essentially made. It's then applied to the upper surfaces of the body, focusing on ridges in the muscles to help us sell the effect, and bring out the definition and detail of the sculpting. For the glow itself, we'll have to lean more toward either red or yellow, since the fur itself is orange. Luckily, Heroscape's lava tiles are pure red, so using that as our lighting will fit well. A basic highlight on the bottom areas of the legs, belly, and tail are done in a tone halfway between our orange and pure red. Then the extreme highlights are a paler red, like we used with the wings, done on just the edges of bone and joint. Finally, a light dry brush of our original orange color over all the body picks out the sculpted on fur texture. Now most of the Manticore's body is done, so we can move on to its face. The white fur is applied around the eyes and nose with an off-white to make it look more natural and slightly shaded compared to a pure white. Then, a small patch of black is put around each eye before the yellow iris and a dot of black for the pupil. Before putting away the black, let's add the stripes to its legs, ears, and face. Finally, the tongue, gums, and nose get painted magenta, with 2 small black dots for the nostrils. That gives the main bulk of the paint job done, so it's time to add the full lighting effect. The Manticore's wings and all of the armor first get a very thin red wash, followed by a very light dry brush. We can alternate between these, building up thin layers until you're happy with the level of glow across them. This is also applied to the undersides of the body, and Raelin's wings wherever it needs a more distinct lighting. After a few passes, mix in some white to this wash and use it to highlight the underside of the tusks and claws. While we want a dynamic, lighted environment, the rules of the game limit our basing options a bit. However, we can start by painting the entire base red, using a few coats to get a saturated color for the lava. This is another place where a white base coat would decrease the work needed. With some PVA glue, we'll add some fine gravel and sand to make solid rock, mostly around the paws, and connect them to form interesting island shapes. They'll get painted black, followed by gray further in. The lava itself was made by layering orange over the red, then yellow, and a touch of white. If you work quickly, they'll all still be wet and will blend, giving a more natural, flowing look. If you would like, you can add a thin layer of resin to the lava to make it look more liquid. Then, the rocks get a light dry brush of our red so they seem to catch the glow too. Now we can paint the rim of the base, and Raelin is finished. Thank you again for watching. If you follow this tutorial to paint your own miniature, please tag me to share it. Be sure to like this video and subscribe so you see future ones. Until then, I hope you have a great day.